In the dusty frontier town of El Dorado Springs, where the sun scorched the earth like a branding iron and debts were settled with blood or barter, Amelia Hawthorne found herself on the auction block, her father's gambling woes chaining her fate to the highest bidder. Imagine the horror of being traded like cattle, her dreams shattered in a single gavel strike. But what if the man who claimed her wasn't the monster she feared, but the key to her wildest liberation? If this tale of betrayal, redemption, and heart-pounding twists grips you from the start, hit that subscribe button now. Join thousands across the USA and UK who've unlocked exclusive stories that transport you to untamed worlds, with fresh narratives delivered weekly to fuel your imagination and escape the ordinary. Don't miss out, subscribe today and dive deeper into the adventure. Amelia Hawthorne stood trembling on the wooden platform in the center of El Dorado Springs, bustling square, the midday sun beating down on her like a relentless interrogator, her once vibrant auburn hair matted with sweat and dust from the long ride into town, her emerald eyes darting frantically across the leering crowd of roughnecks, miners, and ranchers who gathered like vultures around a fresh kill, their murmurs a low rumble that drowned out the distant neighs of horses tied to hitching posts along the dirt road lined with saloons and mercantiles, the air thick with the scent of tobacco, whiskey, and unwashed bodies, as the auctioneer, a portly man with a sweat-stained vest and a voice like gravel under boots, banged his gavel and bellowed that this fine young woman of 22 was up for sale to settle her father's insurmountable debt to the notorious Blackwood gang, a debt born from endless nights at the poker table where old man Hawthorne had wagered everything from his homestead to his daughter's future, leaving Amelia with no choice but to face this humiliation, her simple cotton dress clinging to her frame as tears welled but refused to fall. For she had vowed not to show weakness to these beasts who bid on her like livestock, starting at $50 and climbing amid crude jests and whistles, until a shadow fell across the platform, a tall figure stepping forward from the back of the crowd, his broad-brimmed hat casting his face in mystery, his leather duster swaying with each measured step, spurs jingling faintly like a warning bell, and in a voice low and steady as a mountain stream, he bid $500, a sum that silenced the throng. For no one dared challenge the quiet cowboy known only as Jack Harlan, a man whispered about in saloons as a former gunslinger turned recluse, living alone on a sprawling ranch miles from civilization, his past shrouded in rumors of lost loves and bloody shootouts, and as the gavel fell declaring her sold, Amelia's heart pounded with terror, imagining the horrors awaiting her in his isolated domain, but little did she know that this purchase was the first twist in a web of secrets that would upend her world forever. Jack Harlan led her away without a word, his grip firm but not cruel on her arm as they mounted his sturdy black stallion, Thunder, and rode out of town under the watchful eyes of the townsfolk, the landscape shifting from dusty streets to endless plains dotted with sagebrush and distant mesas glowing red in the setting sun, the silence between them thick as molasses, Amelia's mind racing with escape plans, wondering if she could slip away during the night or find a weapon to defend herself. But as hours passed and they arrived at his ranch, a modest cabin nestled against a rocky outcrop with a barn and corral where a few cattle grazed lazily, Jack surprised her by unlocking the door and gesturing her inside, his blue eyes meeting hers for the first time, revealing not lust or malice but a quiet sorrow, and he muttered that she was free to go if she wished, but the Blackwood gang would hunt her down if the debt wasn't squared, confusing her further as he explained in halting words that he had bought her not for companionship or labor, but to protect her from worse fates, having known her father in better days and owing him a life debt from a long-ago saloon brawl where Hawthorne had saved him from a cheater's bullet. Yet this revelation was only the surface, for as days turned to weeks, Amelia stayed, drawn by the ranch's serene isolation and Jack's enigmatic kindness, helping with chores not out of obligation but curiosity, learning to mend fences, tend horses, and cook over an open fire, their conversation sparse but deepening, Jack sharing fragments of his past, a wife lost to fever, a brother betrayed in a gold rush scheme, while Amelia confessed her dreams of becoming a schoolteacher, stifled by her father's vices, and amid this budding trust, a subtle romance flickered, stolen glances over campfires, his calloused hand brushing hers while passing tools. But the first major twist came one stormy night when thunder cracked like gunfire and a knock echoed at the door, revealing not a stranger but Amelia's father, disheveled and desperate, claiming he had a plan to repay the debt with hidden gold from an old mine, begging her to come with him. And as Jack stepped aside, allowing her choice, Amelia hesitated, sensing something off in her father's shifty eyes, only to discover through a hidden letter in his coat that he had orchestrated the auction himself, colluding with the Blackwoods to sell her for a cut of the profits, intending to use her as bait in a larger scam against Jack, whom he knew harbored a secret fortune from his gunslinging days, a revelation that shattered Amelia's illusions and forced her to confront the betrayal, turning to Jack in fury and grief. But he ever the quiet guardian, revealed his own twist. He had suspected as much, having trailed Hawthorne for weeks before the auction, buying her not just out of debt but to draw out the gang and end their reign of terror once and for all, his recluse life a facade for a vigilante mission, and together they hatched a plan, Amelia no longer a victim but a partner, using her wits to lure the Blackwoods to the ranch under pretense of surrender, the night air alive with tension as riders approached under a full moon, guns drawn, but Jack, with Amelia's help rigging traps from barbed wire and hidden pitfalls, ambushed them, bullets flying in a chaotic symphony, Amelia firing a rifle from the cabin window with surprising accuracy learned from Jack's quiet lessons, taking down 2 outlaws before the leader, Silas Blackwood, cornered Jack in the barn, snarling accusations of theft from a shared heist years ago, unveiling yet another twist, that Jack wasn't just a cowboy but Silas's long-lost brother, separated by greed and violence, the betrayed brother, from Jack's stories being Silas himself, who had left him for dead after stealing their bounty, and in a heart-wrenching standoff, Jack hesitated, gun trembling, as Silas mocked him, but Amelia burst in, disarming Silas with a shovel strike, allowing Jack to subdue him without killing. Choosing mercy over vengeance, the gang rounded up and turned over to the distant marshal, freeing the town from their shadow. In the aftermath, as dawn broke over the ranch, painting the sky in hues of gold and pink, Jack knelt before Amelia, not in proposal but in apology for the deceptions, offering her the deed to the land and true freedom to pursue her teaching dreams in the city, but she, transformed by the ordeals, confessed her love, the quiet cowboy. Having given her not just liberty but strength, purpose, and a partner in life's untamed ride, their kiss sealing a future built on trust amid the twists of fate, the ranch becoming their haven where debts were settled not with coin but with courage, and whispers of their legend spread across the frontier, a testament that sometimes, the greatest purchases yield the richest returns. Yet, in a final unforeseen turn, months later, as they rode together surveying the land, a glint in the creek bed caught Amelia's eye, a nugget of gold, revealing the old mine her father had lied about was real, hidden on their property all along, turning their modest life into one of quiet prosperity, but they chose to keep it secret, using it sparingly to help the town, proving that true wealth lay not in riches but in the bonds forged through fire. Amelia's story evolving from sold soul to sovereign spirit, forever changed by the quiet cowboy who bought her freedom and gave her his heart.